I'm a reporter in Washington, D.C. I've seen my share of demonstrations just outside my front door. But some of the most passionate protests are in the bayou.
You see that Dakota Access Pipeline?
I've seen personal stories, but they always seem to come from one angle.
They keep running over us because we're poor, because we're brown and we're black, and that's why they do it.
I wanted to check out the site without attending the big planned protests, to see what's really going on when no one is supposed to be filming. I found exactly what I was looking for.
Hey, is it okay if I talk to you?
When I arrived in the bayou, it was easy to find workers and business owners excited by the pipeline.
Charlie 4, Quality Marine Service. We've been in business for 50 years, and this is the best thing that's ever happened to us in 50 years. Matt Caprito, our contract boats. I think the pipeline is the safest way to transport all.
But where were the protesters? I saw tents on a private and locked campground, but they seemed empty with no one in sight. Videos online showed that there was a protest presence at one point, but where were they now?
We've arrested approximately 17 people. Most of these protesters are not even from Louisiana. They come from all over the United States, as far as California. We even arrested one from France.
In my experience in D.C., most people travel to attend a protest when it's planned, then disappear, a kind of weekend warrior protester.
They pick a piece of machinery or a piece of the pipeline and they attach themselves to it. What they call a sleeping dragon.
I had heard the term sleeping dragon before. It was a tactic straight out of the Earth First Direct Action Manual, page 134. Protesters will hold hands through barrels or tubes, which make it difficult for police to remove them without literally breaking or cutting their arms off.
Extraction from this 1,000 plus pound thing is impossible.
So how are you going to get out?
That's, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
They usually use it to block construction, but in more recent times, they've used it to hold up traffic.
The people that work on these pipelines, they have a right to make a living too. They are putting the livelihood of some of these workers in jeopardy, and they're putting their own self in harm's way with this machinery.
The locals assured me that there were still protesters here, but they were hiding in a moving camp in the woods, so I took to the swamp. The Bayou Bridge pipeline is the last leg to complete the Dakota Access Pipeline. The biggest complaint you hear about pipelines are spills.
You know how they replace pipeline now? When it breaks. And it breaks in towns and communities. It breaks out in the swampland. It breaks next to lakes and rivers here in Louisiana.
But out of the 61 million barrels, the pipeline had lost 4. In return, individual landowners received $190 million for easements, while state and local governments received $55 million in taxes from the oil.
Once the Bayou Bridge is complete, it will pay an estimated $1.8 million to the different parishes across the route. And that money is broken up by each of the communities. They determine how that money gets used, but generally it's for things like roads and schools and hospitals and community centers.
We have hundreds of pipelines across Louisiana. I think it's one of the most safest modes to transport these chemicals and also oil throughout this area.
A sobering reminder of this fact happened the very day I was at the bayou.
A traffic alert for you now. LA 69 and White Castle remains closed near LA 1 while authorities work to clear a train crash. State police tell us a train and an 18-wheeler collided this morning. You can see it's on its side there.
An alternative transport such as a semi-truck could lose 214 barrels with a single accident, as opposed to the pipeline's 4 over the past 6 months. What follows is raw footage of the last place the protesters were spotted.
Sounds good. Hello. Anyone here? Anyone here? Perhaps these guys are using this to pee. Hey, I'm here. I'm a reporter. Is it okay if I talk to you? I'm a news reporter.
What news network do you work for?
I'm sorry?
What network do you work for?
DC News Foundation?
I don't know. What about it? Some guy that says he's a reporter is trying to ask me questions.
I'm from Washington, D.C.
Sam, there's a f***ing water moccasin on the dishes.
All I can say really is that
Wait.
that there's a lifeline and it holds someone's life in its hands, so nobody better cut it.
Okay, hey, yeah, I'm just here to tell your story. Would it be okay if I talk to you?
You can talk to me, but I'm a little wary about telling my story.
About what?
Telling my story. I don't really trust reporters.
At first, he didn't want to talk, except to tell us that he went by the name Babyface and that we should steer clear of this lifeline.
Do you guys have any more campsites?
I don't want to answer that, but this is public land. I mean, you can do what you want, but I'll probably be trailing you.
But eventually, Babyface opened up.
We're working to stop them from constructing the pipeline, so right now we have it set up. Like I said, there's a lifeline on the easement.
This lifeline, what? This? Oh, the tree?
Then it became clear the lifeline led up to a tent, suspended above the trees. It was page 171 in the action manual. Skypods.
It's unsafe for them to cut any further, not only because it's destructive to the environment, but because a human being's life is in the balance.
Oh, there's more than one.
Turns out he wasn't just guarding one lifeline. I had found the elusive moving protesters, except instead of tying their arms to equipment, they had tied their lives to the trees.
And that's connected to a sit in a tree that is outside of the easement here on public land. So nobody's breaking the law by being out here.
The protesters anchored their tents on land not owned by the pipeline company, but were suspending themselves above the land the pipeline had rights to.
Do you guys have like a GoFundMe page to like get you food and supplies and stuff? I mean...
we have people supporting us, but we could always use more support. Are these your friends?
Oh yeah, they drove me on the boat, yeah.
I'm just wondering, you know, you apparently drive a car,
I don't really drive a car.
but some of the ones that are with you drive cars.
Yeah.
And those cars they take oil, they take fuel.
Yeah.
You know, so how would you do without that? If you transport all on the highway, you got more of a chance of those truckers getting in an accident, killing people, and also putting all over on the earth. The pipeline is the safest way to transport oil, and you can get it across the states a lot faster and more gallons.
That's what they say. But I've seen some of these valve stations and just along the way when I'm driving in the boat, and those aren't well kept up at all. They're rusting. They're really in decay, and I worry about what this pipeline's going to look like 10, 15 years from now, whether they're really going to do the upkeep to keep us safe. I have my personal doubts, but...
Well, they have pipelines that's been in the ground since the 1960s, and they're just starting to have to do repairs on them right now, but instead of doing repairs, they go ahead and replace the whole thing while they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're talking about over 60 years it's been in the ground, so this one is going to be here a lot longer than that because it's coated with cement.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
But,
He reminded me of a kind of protester I had seen before in Washington, D.C. He had memorized some arguments, but didn't speak much beyond that. He seemed like someone who didn't really have strong feelings underneath, but maybe just wanted to be a part of something.
Well, Babyface, nice meeting you.
On the way back to civilization, I couldn't help but wonder, was all this necessary? Even the action manual says that all blockades would eventually be overrun. Over the past few years, it seems that a simple conversation has become an impossibility between two opposing sides, usually escalating to name-calling or violence. How much time could we save if we just came together for a simple conversation?
What do you think about the protesters that are here?
I think they lost.